Good evening. I'd like to call the Waterville City Council meeting for Monday, February 24th, 2025 to order. And I would ask Vice Mayor Duncan to lead us in the prayer.
Loving God, as we come together tonight for the city of Waterville, we pause to ask you to be with us and guide our way. May your spirit of peace surround all we say and do this evening. We ask for your strength to do what is best for the good of Waterville. Lord God, as servants of your people, we pray that you grant us a share of your wisdom. Amen.
Amen. And all rise, and I would ask some special guests that are with us tonight. Erin Gomez and her daughter Sierra. Sierra is a student at Notre Dame. They will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I would ask the clerk to lead us in the roll call.
Mrs. Duncan?
Here.
Mr. Browski?
Here.
Mr. Garber?
Here.
Mayor Pedro?
Here.
Mr. Wagner?
Here.
Mr. Rosick?
Here.
Mr. Bruno?
Here. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of our minutes from the meeting of Monday, February the 10th. You've all had a chance to receive it and review the minutes. Need a motion to accept the minutes for Monday, February 10th.
So moved.
So moved. Tony Garber, need a second.
Second.
Second, Councilmember Rozak. Any more questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Please note, I will abstain. I was not here for the meeting on February 10th. Next is citizens' comments. And I would ask Dave Weber to state your name and address and your nature of your business.
Pass it down, please.
My name's Dave Weber. I'm at 4902 Rudgate Boulevard, Toledo, Ohio. First off, I have a favor to ask. The last time I spoke here was in January, I think the 27th, and I only recently saw the minutes. And in the minutes it says I'm representing the Maumee Valley Heritage Corridor, but I had previous to that meeting I had asked the mayor to not associate me with that organization. So if you could modify the minutes, I'd appreciate it. It would make some people happy. Not so much me, but the corridor, because basically they want, at our annual meeting we had this bridge as an ad hoc committee, but it's since changed management and they haven't endorsed it yet. So right now we're a citizens group, mostly Waterville local people. So just treat it that way as a local group and treat me as an individual of that group. I'd like to give you another recap or another update. If you remember that meeting in January, I said we were going to be meeting with ODOT, and we did. And I sent meeting minutes to the mayor and to John Gokenauer, and basically we asked the question. Well, there was a few things, but what sticks in my mind is one is I've never had an explanation of why they're tearing the bridge down. So we asked the question, why are you tearing the bridge down? And they said three reasons. The three reasons were safety and expense and environment. And the latter two are a little flaky. The safety thing has to do with the kayakers on the Maumee River Water Trail, but also they said that there's also the safety due to maybe a teenager or whatever that climbs up on the bridge and tries his hand at, gets a dare to cross the bridge and he dies. So I can see safety. The second one was expense. That one's a little flaky in that basically they're saying there's an expense, but the expense can't be that much. It's just the cost of liability insurance. And if you've read their website, they're planning on spending $4.1 million. I mean, that's a lot of money. And, you know, at 5% interest, you can buy a lot of liability insurance on that and have money left over in your pocket. So I think what it really is they're worried about their expense and that they're going through the Section 106 process because you have to go through that to destroy a historic structure using federal dollars. So basically they're using somebody else's money to destroy the bridge. And so that's the expense they're worried about. They're worried about the expense of the insurance, I suspect. I'm reading between the lines. Then the third one was environment. And the environment, that was kind of flaky in that they're saying that there's fill earth within the structure, and when the spandrels break and collapse, the fill earth falls into the Maumee. Well, that fill earth, when it was originally built, was dredged from the Maumee. So it's basically, they're worried about the environment of dirt from 1908 falling into the river. And, you know, where's the environment of that? I mean, it's just like ashes to ashes, right? It's the dirt back then that was on the bank now is in the bridge, and if it collapses, it goes back into the river. So that one seemed kind of flaky. Not only that, but you don't need to destroy a bridge to get the earth out of there. And in fact, if they had taken the earth out 40 years ago, you wouldn't have had those trees growing there. You wouldn't have the freeze-thaw collapsing the spandrels. The whole thing would still be there if they had just taken the earth out, because the earth is the thing that's pushing the bridge apart. So in any case, that was their reasons. Then we asked about the planning or the project, you know, what's the details of the project? Well, they said they weren't the right people. I guess the people that do Section 106 aren't the people that are in charge of destroying the bridge. They did say that they're pretty sure that the plan is to totally destroy the bridge. I mean, right down to bedrock. Take everything out. Every human vestige gone. And to me, that, you ask yourself, why do that? I mean, why spend all that money? Even if you wanted to make it safe, you could just leave the piers, right? I mean, the piers aren't going to hurt anybody. They're just sticking up out of the water. So it just seemed kind of weird. So then we presented the 4 alternate proposals that I spoke about last time. If you remember, these proposals were like pennies on the dollar. It's if they're planning on spending $4 million to tear it down, the most expensive one was $400,000. So you're talking about 10% of the cost to make it safe. And they all go on the premise of put signs on the river that say "Go here," and then either make the Waterville side arch, one of them, safe by renovation, or make the Wood County side, the same thing, safe. Or there was another thing I showed you, which was using these blocks, self-supporting blocks, and that one's only like $200,000, and it just puts an arch under an arch, such that if the upper arch collapses totally and a kayaker's underneath it, he wouldn't be harmed. And then the fourth one was just knock one of the arches down and say "Go here." So they said basically they weren't the people to make the decision. Matter of fact, in the letter I passed around there, I just got that today. I asked the gal to follow up on these things of, you know, who are the people that call the shots, right? And so she gave me some names there. I'll contact them. We'll have to set up a meeting, not this week, but next week, I guess. They can't do it this week, to find out, you know, what are their plans for knocking this bridge down. And then there's another person I got to contact for delaying it, because John Gokenauer sent him a letter asking for a 2-year delay. Unbeknownst to me, they sent a note letter back to Waterville, and I guess it got lost here, but basically, it said you had a deadline of January. Matter of fact, it was right before I spoke to you last. And to me, deadline is ludicrous because, you know, what's so bad about waiting 2 years and then knocking it down? I mean, it's basically, I don't know how much they spend on liability insurance, but it has to be peanuts compared to $4 million. So at this point, we'll be setting up, I guess, a meeting with two different folks. And it seemed odd, too, that ODOT didn't, the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing. The people that do the Section 106 process, they didn't know much of anything about the plans, schedule, the design, and they didn't even know that we had asked for a hiatus of 2 years. So it's I guess, communication is everything. Tim is always telling me that, you know, communication and grassroots is important, and I guess we need to, you know, maintain communication. Our group definitely needs to know that the whole council is behind this. In other words, you voted to proceed with not only asking for a delay, but I think you voted for us to submit grants to get this stuff done. And so both of those kind of tells me that you're kind of don't want to see the bridge go. So I just need to make sure of that because basically it's going to take a lot of support to get this going. ODOT is a tough nut to crack. So.
Right, thank you, Dave. Just a couple comments. So when we did have that meeting, I made a comment that I know ODOT is following their protocol, and they've kept us informed along the way. And according to this letter, which they reconfirmed what they told us in the meeting, that they'll be in touch to set up a meeting that you just referenced. So I like to think that we're trying to find some common ground, maybe some compromises, but I like to say the process is working. Sometimes you want it to work faster, but I believe with your efforts and the committee's efforts, along with ODOT's responses, are on track. We'll just have to wait and see that when that next meeting takes place. So thanks for passing this letter on.
Yeah, we're running out of time fast, and hopefully we'll have a meeting in 2 weeks with them so we can maybe they'll you know, actually listen to us. But basically, I don't see how you could want to knock a bridge down when for 10 cents on the dollar you can make it safe, and if you paid a little money to get the fill earth out of there, you're taking out you're taking out the thing that's destroying it. If they had done it 40 years ago, you'd have a bridge that would look perfect. You know, it would have the spandrels there and everything. And I wanted to throw out too a couple of ideas to beyond this. Needs might come out of it's a little crazy. One is if ODOT's willing to spend $4 million, and maybe it's $4 million of somebody else's money, I don't know that. We have to meet with these guys in 2 weeks. But they said, in a letter, they said, if somebody was willing to step up and buy the bridge, they'd be happy as a clam. So basically, I think at this point, they would, if somebody stepped up and said, I'll sell it for $1, they'd take it. So what if Waterville went to them and said, if you give us half the money, if you give us $2 million out of that $4 million, we'll save you the $2 million bucks, and we'll take the bridge off your hands, and you can use that money to fix up the one end and pay for liability insurance and put up the signs. So basically, that's another way to do it. In other words, that way you do an end run around ODOT, because ODOT basically said, we're looking for anyone to take this bridge. And then there's a second wild idea, and that is the federal, because they're going through Section 106, there's federal money involved here. I don't know if it's a full $4 million or part of it, but what if somebody like me, acting as an agent, filled out a whistleblower form? The federal government has a process where they pay 10% if you can save money for the federal government. So what if I submit the forms on behalf of Waterville for that $4 million to save, and the saving is they don't destroy the bridge? That would put a check of $400,000 in Waterville's pocket. That would be another option.
Well, Dave, I think a couple things, like when we talked back in November, I think it was, when we were trying to apply for some grants and we were having all kinds of ideas. Some of these things we have to have our law director sign off on. So again, I think the committee has raised the flag, if you will, and has raised some questions. I think ODOT is prepared to respond. They've already met once and they're agreed to set up another meeting. So I think all these ideas could come into play, but we can't tonight I don't think we should.
Yeah, I'm
tonight.
just throwing that out now so
Yeah.
you can think about it. We'll know more in 2 weeks when we have the meeting.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Okay,
Thanks, Dave.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank
Mayor,
you, Dave.
just one question.
Go ahead, John.
Thank you very much, first of all, Dave, for all the work you're doing on this and your enthusiasm and interest. I just wondered, is there a demolition on the schedule yet at the state, or
Yeah, it might have been in that letter, I don't know, but it's supposed to be April 10th.
Date. That's actually for it to go out to bid.
Yeah.
There's not a demolition date.
I think they're sending out sealed bids on April 10th.
okay?
And they wanted to have a buyer by mid-January. And unfortunately, I didn't know about that, but it's academic anyway, you know, it's too short of a time span.
And then I think I had raised the question sometime along the way about removing the dirt. You had mentioned that. Is there an estimate for what that would cost?
I don't have one. We could ask ODOT in 2 weeks, because effectively that's the first thing you have to do, right? You have to get the dirt out of there, because they say putting the dirt in the Maumee causes an environmental problem. If it was a problem, they can't just put C4 under the bridge and blow it up. You'd have dirt all over the place. So they have to dig all the dirt out and get it out and landfill it. And then I assume they either dynamite it or pull it down with backhoe or something.
All right. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks,
right.
Mayor. Yep.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave. Next on the agenda, citizens' comments, is Terry Masucci. If you'd like to come to the podium and identify yourself, please.
Stop it. I'm Terry Masucci, 1101 Waterville Monclova Road, Waterville, Ohio, 43566. So I'm here just to announce the Easter scavenger hunt. This will run from March 21st until April 11th. So 20 local businesses will have an egg like this with a number on it. The kids will pick up an entry form at the Waterville Library, and when it's completed, when they've found all 20 eggs, they'll turn it back into the library, and they will get just a small treat, prize for playing the game. And then at the Easter egg hunt, we'll draw some names from those that played this game for prizes, just some simple prizes that are fun, that the kids like. The actual Easter egg hunt will be at Conrad Park in the rec building on April 12th from 10 o'clock until it's done. We'll have free donuts and hot chocolate and other stuff going on. New this year, we'll have 3 local bakers from Waterville. Julia's Sweets, who does like coffee, crumble coffee cake, blueberry, banana, strawberry, that kind of loaves. Sugared and Spun, which has delicious sugar cookies, and Saucy Bites, who has sourdough bread and scones. All are bakers right here in Waterville. Also new this year, for each age category, which will run age 0 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and then 8 and up, each age category, there'll be a prize egg. So when they find a prize with a coupon in it, courtesy of the Waterville Chamber of Commerce, they will get a special prize for finding that prized eggs. We'll also, again, have the recycling of the plastic eggs that they find. And courtesy of Councilman Wayne Wagner, they will get an ice cream coupon from Sweet Retreats. The Easter Bunny will be there. We don't know who that, it's the Easter Bunny. And he'll be available for mingling with the kids. The kids had fun watching, him walk around, and they'll hand out either tattoos or stickers while they're walking around and mingling. He'll be available for photos. Also new this year, we'll have an adult Easter basket drawing that's filled with goodies. All good?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council, any questions or comments? Thank you very much, Sushi. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, we had a special guest student from Notre Dame Academy, Sierra Gomez. She is just anxiously waiting to go to that podium. So she's going to give us her name and the school she goes to, her address, and maybe a little bit about why she's here tonight. Thank you, Sierra.
Hi, I'm Sierra Gomez. I live at Waterville 387 Overlook Drive. I go to Notre Dame Academy, and I'm a junior, and I'm here for my government class.
And do you have any questions for us tonight? Is there anything one thing you have to accomplish by attending tonight's meeting?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. All right. Council, comments? All right.
Thanks for coming.
Well, thanks, Mom, for bringing the family here. Okay, next is our staff reports, and we will start with our administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. Council has a copy of my report. I did want to mention that I know we discussed it at the last meeting, that the auditor, Lucas County Auditor, was looking to schedule a meeting here in the council room to answer questions from residents regarding the recent property reevaluations, and that's scheduled for March 26th, and that's from noon to 7 p.m. in the council room here. If council has any other questions on my report?
Council, we'll start with Mr. Bruno.
No questions?
Mr. Rozek.
I would just comment on that, John, that the deadline to file with the Board of Revision is March 31. So if we're relying on the March 26th date, that's a little close, just so people know that they would need to probably file before the auditor comes in or very shortly thereafter. That's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
No questions.
Tony?
No, sir.
Todd?
All good, thank you.
Mary?
Nothing.
Okay, then we'll continue on with our law director, Katie.
No report this evening.
Thank you. And our finance director, being served by Mr. McDonald's. Or excuse me. Oh, wow. Mr. Goetkenauer. Strike that from the record.
I think you'll get a kick out of that when I mention it to him. Thank you, Mayor.
Living in the past.
Council has a copy of the fourth quarter budget report for fiscal year 2024, and that covers the period of January 1st through December 31st, 2024. And so this is our actual budget, actual expenditures and revenues that we received in 2024. The Finance Committee did review this and recommended approval at their recent public meeting on February 21st, 2025. Going through my notes, I think you'll notice that in terms of revenues, we're pretty close to 100% pretty much all the way across the board. Real estate taxes at 100%. Local government, so we get our local government revenue from the county and the state, so that was at 95% approximately. Property tax reimbursements, which are, come with our real estate tax, that was at 100%. Charges for fire services, the Waterville Township paid us the required amount there, so that was at 100%. Rescue service runs, we're at 93%. Investment earnings, 111%. So I mentioned this to the Finance Committee that, moving forward into 2025, I would expect the interest rates are going to go down a little bit. So we were a little more conservative in terms of what we're expecting in 2025. Miscellaneous rental revenues, that's our farm rental, and so that contract did expire, so I'll probably be bringing that to council in the near future to, we'll take bids and put that out to bid for that. We have miscellaneous revenue that comes from gov deals and things like that. That was at 94%. Our dedicated funds, our dedicated revenues for our dedicated funds, streets, construction, maintenance and repair, state highway, permissive tax funds, those are all related to street improvements, roadway improvements, 101%. Our parks, we got 93% of our budgeted revenues. We did get a $200,409 grant for our park improvements that we've been doing, and then our police pension and our fire levy funds, those are based on our real estate taxes, so those were at 100%. 5-year capital, very similar to the general fund in terms of the income tax. We received a $657,382 grant in 2024, and that was 93% of our budget. Investment earnings, again, were over 100%. Miscellaneous revenue, we also got a TARTA grant for $90,000, and our police chief got a $13,239 vest grant for the police department, so that came into that fund. Enterprise funds, 98%, water and sewer, and the water and sewer capital funds, 86 and 75% respectively. So grant reimbursements that we budgeted in 2024 are coming in 2025. The Farnsworth Road project, so that was part of that, and then we also completed improvements to the sewer pumping station, and we got a reimbursement in January for that. So that didn't make it into the fourth quarter budget report. Overall, the city collected $15,757,539, 96.61% of our budgeted revenues. So about 3% of that, 70% of the 3% was uncollected grant reimbursements, which will be coming in 2025. General fund expenditures, 89%, and we have detail on that on page 29. Dedicated fund expenditures, again, those were all in the 80s to 90%. Street construction, maintenance and repair, state highway, permissive tax, 84%. Parks and green space, 86%. Police pension, so again, that was at 99%. Fire levy, 83.38%. Employee retirement benefits, we had 3 retirements in 2024, so it was at 82%. The American Rescue Plan Act, so we've either spent or encumbered all that money that we received from the federal government, and that was required by December 31st of 2024. Overall, the dedicated fund expenditures were about 85% of what we budgeted. 5-year capital, police and fire expenditures for capital equipment, 73% and 69%. So there's still some items that are outstanding there, and then our street invoices, there were several that were still outstanding in December, so that was at 48%. Bond principal and interest payments, so all those were paid for 2024. in June, we pay interest only, and then in December, we pay principal and interest on those. So that was all paid as scheduled. Enterprise funds, expenditures, 90%, 88% for water and sewer, and then the water and sewer capital, we're at 90 to 87%. Overall expenditures in 2024, $14,892,052, 83.81% of budget. So that was about $865,487 less than revenues received. So that was, I guess that's a positive thing there. The summary of all budgeted and actual revenues and expenditures is on page 28, and then a breakdown of the general fund expenditures, personnel and operating are on page 29. The general fund balance, we ended the year 2024, $5,985,442. So again, if the city was going to go out for, say, a short-term note issue for debt, they like us they take a look at our 2 to 3 month average expenditures, and those averages are listed, so we're well above that. So that's our fourth quarter budget report for 2024. I've also included the RETA report for the end of the year. I know I mentioned this at a previous meeting. Just again, the city brought in $5,201,970 in 2024. That was $159,149 more than we received in 2023. And in creating the 2024 budget, we had an estimate of $5,093,250. And we ended the year approximately $108,720 over that estimate. So we came in over our estimate in terms of our income tax collection. And then in 2025, January of 2025, we had $474,295, and that was $124,398 more than we received in January of 2024. So we're moving in the right direction in terms of our income tax for 2025. We do have a estimated income tax collection for 2025 of $5,253,990. If council has any questions on the fourth quarter budget report or the income tax reports for December 2024 or January 2025.
Council, start with Vice Mayor Duncan.
John, not about the actual numbers, but have we received complaints about RETA from citizens at all?
Well, I can't say that we don't. We do. So it's difficult to I guess process when you're not used to filing online and things like that. But I think once you get used to how it works, it's usually people with initial filings, or maybe they have some tax issues, back taxes or things like that they're trying to work through. So yeah, we do, but.
I was reading online, some people were getting some bills from 2022 and 2023, and it seemed odd. I mean, they paid their taxes and then they're getting billed again, and I just wondered if anybody was calling here or if they're actually calling down to RETA.
Well, I know we had an issue with a non-filer. They didn't owe any tax, or they thought they didn't owe any tax, and so the income tax law across Ohio for municipalities is the same. So in one part of Ohio, you're going to pay a penalty, and the other, there's no difference there, and so you do have to file. I've asked RETA to waive those in that particular case. The individual, wasn't aware that they owed tax, and they were retired or, semi-retired. So it's one of those things where if you retire and then you start working again, I mean, you do have to pay taxes.
Right.
So,
Okay.
but I think that was, that's kind of I think an honest mistake there. So, but yeah, we do get our share of complaints on Now, I wouldn't say a lot, but
Yeah, but it has happened.
yes, it
Okay,
has.
thank you.
John, are there alternatives to Rita? Because the problem she's talking about has happened to my 15-year-old son, who is now 23. He wasn't working, but yet they continued to set, for 3 years in a row, they sent him a tax bill, even though he never was employed. Is there an alternative to Rita? If that would come to a point,
Yeah, I
Do
mean,
we have options?
I don't, I guess I wouldn't, I don't think so. I mean, I guess we could, we could reestablish our own income tax collection, but we just don't have we'd have to hire several people to do that, and we just don't have the reach and they have access to federal returns and things like that.
yeah, I certainly don't mean to suggest that we
Yeah.
would take that
Yeah, no,
responsibility.
I-
Is there
not-
another
not-
entity out there that would do that?
I think there is one other entity in Ohio, but they're smaller than Rita, and they don't have the reach that they have. In terms of people under 18 years old, that now you don't have to pay tax. That was another change in the state of Ohio. They wanted to make that uniform, that if you're under 18, you don't have to pay local income tax. You have to pay withholding tax, but it, from your employer, takes it out of your paycheck, but, so.
Thank you, John.
Just out of curiosity, what does Rita cost us?
Well, it's the retainer there. We actually.
Well below what it would cost us to employ somebody.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah. In the budget, the fourth quarter budget, it says Rita charges for services, retainer. Well, I guess
That's a percentage.
that's the refund, 73,000. It's 3% of what we collect, and typically it's under that, and then we get a refund if it's over 3%. They refund our money, so.
So maybe 3% total.
Yeah, yeah, basically, essentially, it's 3% of what we collect, and, so if we collected, the 5.2 million, 3% of that is approximately what we pay Rita.
Gotcha. Perfect.
John Rozick or Wayne, any,
That's it. Just kind of curious.
Anthony?
No, I was just going to thank you, John, for the detailed report. I know this isn't something you have time to do, but thanks for doing it anyway. It's terrific, and we're in good shape. I like overestimating expenses and underestimating income. That's good.
It's always good.
I'll just add that at the Finance Committee meeting, they were very complimentary of council's, oversight of our finances for the city. There's other communities that are obviously watching their pennies, and we've got a good handle on things with Steve Schultz and John at the helm, so thank you. Next is our treasurer report.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. You do have my report in front of you, and this is the report that's the highlights of our last, I guess I should say, our most recent audit. And for those of you out in the audience and on TV, this is all public information. Just go to State of Ohio Auditor's website. You just look up Waterville. You can look up any public entity in Ohio and find their audits for probably the last 10 years that are out there. So if you really want to read 111 pages of a lot of fun stuff, feel free to go out there and take a look at that. But I do want to make clear our most recent audit is for 2023. Okay, so this is not for 2 months ago. This is for a year and 2 months ago. This was released by the state on December 26th of 2024. Okay, I held off on giving what I will call our official highlight report until the Finance Committee was able to meet, which was last Friday. So again, the Finance Committee did meet on Friday and approved this report. Just a couple of highlights of it, and I did attach a couple of the important highlights to your council packet here. But first of all, it's a clean opinion. That's the first thing to look for. So they basically are saying that what we reported materially is correct and based on their tests. They did not identify any deficiencies in internal control that they consider material weaknesses, which is very important. And the results of their tests disclose no instances of noncompliance. So those are the three things you really want to look at, make sure that those are good in your audit report. Many times they'll get management letter comments, and I know some of the longer-term council people here have heard me say this many times. I don't mind management letter comments. It helps us do things better. But they had no management letter comments for us this year, so there was nothing there. Once again, as I mentioned, the report's 111 pages, but if all you do is read pages 5 through 18 of the report, it's called Management's Discussion of an Analysis of the Year. It really gives you a good synopsis of what happened during the year, and I think really does a nice job of summarizing things as much as possible for the year. One thing I always think is important when we get the audit results is to talk about the debt, because we really don't talk about debt throughout the year, because we're talking more on cash basis and kind of where our various balances are throughout the year. So I've always included a copy of some history the last 5 years of where our debt is at. So to me, the clear thing is that we see what I always call the debt we can control. So we can't control the pension debt and all that type of stuff, but we can control what we go out and borrow. And as you can see, the two different types of activities we have. First of all, on the far right is the business type activities, which is the water and sewer funds, okay? And you can see those have been consistently going down, great trend, okay? Our governmental activities is everything else in the city. And same thing, you can see they were historically going down with the exception of 2021 when we bought a ladder truck and a fire truck. So it's very understandable how we added some debt at that point in time for very good reason. But you can see we've consistently been going down since then. So that's the important part. So once again, you can see as of December of 23, we have about 2.5 million of debt in our governmental activities and about a little over $6 million of debt in our water and sewer funds. So even though we do have a fair amount of cash, we also do have a fair amount of debt. So again, it's just important for people to see that and understand that kind of as to where we're at. The good news is our debt is at less than 2%. So let's just say we're doing better than that with the CD market right now. So we have no interest in paying that off early or anything like that. We're very fortunate from that perspective. Part of the reason we're fortunate is number 8 on my report, and that relates to our general fund balance. And again, you can see we look at the trend of where that's at, and as John mentioned, when we have a good general fund balance, the rating agencies love that and give us really good rates because they know we're very low risk. So again, it's very important we take a look, and you can see we're about 6.2 as of the end of 2023. So overall, while the report was a little later than normal from the state, they usually, quite frankly, aren't that worried about us because we typically are in pretty good shape, so that we tend to get delayed out. They have, let's just say they have a lot of other problem children that they're dealing with. So all in all, very good audit report, and that's the end of my report, unless there's any questions.
Council, questions for Steve?
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Steve. Next is our police chief report.
Evening, Mayor and Council. Should have a copy of my report. A couple things to add. Waterville Safety City will be June 23rd through the 27th with a morning and afternoon session. Two other things that have struck social media. The police department has received only one report of an unauthorized debit card use on January 14th at the Kroger gas pumps. We can't determine where that came from. There was no skimmers on the pumps, and that's the only report that we received. The second thing on social media, which Terry helped police right away, was on the Meanwhile in Waterville page, stating that there was a shopper that was assaulted in the parking lot and his vehicle was attempted to be stolen. We have no reports on that. Kroger has no reports on that. I checked with the management this morning just to make sure nothing rolled in over the weekend. Not saying that it didn't happen and was unreported, but we have no, I guess, complaints or suspects or victim information. We do have a name that posted that thread, and today we started trying to get a hold of them, asking them why or where this occurred, if it was Waterville Kroger or not, but we just kind of like to have some answers to that before it gets out of control. That's all I have.
Questions for Joe? Comments? I have one, Joe, and John already mentioned it, but I saw in the report. I want to thank you for taking time to apply for that grant with the administration. It goes a long way, and that shows character beyond policing the streets in our community, but that just shows the great department we have. So thank you.
You're welcome. I have to give credit to Lieutenant Austin Gunn. He's the one that filed for it, and we worked together, and he established it.
Good, good. Thank you.
Yep.
Next is our fire chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You also have a copy of my report, and just to bring back the past as the reports used to be, we have a really busy month going on. So other than that, unless you have any questions for me.
Council?
Chief, I have one. It
Sure.
just seems like we have a really big uptick in auto aid and mutual aid and that kind of thing compared to months in the past.
Yeah, so if you look, it's pretty much a direct correlation. Receiving aid and giving aid, they're pretty much there. That is, like I said, the report of old times, right? This month has been astronomically off the hook. I mean, the other night I had both ambulances out the entire night. I had no one sleeping in the station because they ran all night long, both ambulances at the same time. So I think they answered almost 4.5 calls per ambulance from 9 o'clock at night till 7 in the morning. So it's just been off the hook.
Have you been able to determine any kind of a trend through the month of kind of what's precipitating this?
No, well, we had a lot of car accidents. We've had quite a few of those even recently. We just had 2 of them, and the weather isn't even a factor to play in it. I mean, a semi lost its load and it landed on top of a car. We had another semi decide to rear end another semi at 65 miles an hour. So, I mean, the roads are clear, but they're just, I mean, we have a major highway, and sometimes that has the part to play in it.
Thanks. Thank you, Chief.
Anyone else?
I just know with all the ice, we've had a couple slips and falls that you've had to go help some people, and they appreciate it.
Thank you.
I know that we're happy you came and picked them up, so.
Awesome.
Thanks, Doug. Thank you. Next up is our Public Works Director, Rob.
I'd like to point out he gets to go last for once.
Yeah.
Mayor, good evening, everyone. You guys have a copy of my report. One quick thing with the warmer weather, we would want people to use caution on the skating rink. It's probably going to start getting a little soft now. The new Muffin Monster, or grinder pump, if you will, we were able to get that in ourselves. We got a quote for that, and it was $19,000 to install that from another company. We thought that was a little excessive, so we tried it, and we were able to do all of the work ourselves.
Nice.
Yeah, that's great.
Street Superintendent Al wanted me to thank everybody who moved their cars off the road while they were out plowing. Made stuff a lot easier for us. And the last one, kind of irrelevant now because all the snow melted off of them, but the multi-use path, streets and sidewalks come first. We will get to that eventually. We just ask everybody to be patient with us. And that's all I have for tonight.
Council?
Just a quick one, Mayor. We used some salt this year, it looks like, Rob.
Quite a bit, yeah.
And so how's the reserve? Do we need to be out there
We're
buying?
fine.
We're good?
Yes.
Yeah, good.
I just want to also compliment you on the installation of the equipment, taking time to do that, so thank you for doing that. Alrighty, we will move on to communication from council members, and we'll start with Mr. Bruno.
No report tonight, Mayor.
Mr. Rozak?
Mayor, I attended with John the fire co-op committee meeting on the 13th, and Doug didn't say anything about it, but we're in good shape. Everything's working according to plan, I might say, I think. The couple comments were, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but there's some supply shortages. I don't think that's just us, that's probably universal.
Yeah, without going up there, there's still a couple. I just put a medication order in today, found out there's 2 more that are national backward. National, that's not just specific to this area, so. We have medications to work around it. It isn't that citizens won't get served, we just can't get that one specific.
And also both chiefs, as he said earlier, the ALS calls are up significantly from prior periods. I do have the annual report, if anybody wants to look at the annual report of the fire co-op. Very nicely done. That's all I had, Mayor.
Thank you. Wayne?
So, Todd and I and John, we had our tree commission meeting, first tree commission meeting of the year, and we have a new chair. Peg Ryan is chair of the tree commission. A lot of our residents don't even know we have a tree commission, so we're trying to figure out how to get our commission out there more, whether it be social media or something in with city packets that they get. But oak tree trimming is kind of coming to a close here, so if you have oak trees, now's the time to trim them. If you wait too much longer, it's going to affect the trees. So any questions, come to a tree commission meeting. We'd love to have you. That's it.
Thank you. Tony?
No report tonight, sir.
Todd?
No report.
Mary?
Just a reminder that we will be setting the date for our annual meeting with Waterville Township and with White House for the cemetery district. We have not settled on a date yet, but we will probably before our next council meeting, and I will let you know so you can put it on your calendars. That's it.
I have a couple of things. Terry, thanks again for your committee on the Easter egg hunt. It's always good to have volunteers.
Committee of one.
Help, well, I said committee. And then, secondly, I know John mentioned it, but I'm glad that the Lucas County Auditor and his team is coming here on March 26th. Like John Rozak said, it's a couple days before the actual filing deadline, but nevertheless, come here noon to 7 and learn what you can from the auditor in the council chambers. Thanks to Vice Mayor Duncan for managing to run our meeting last time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then I already recognized Rob and Joe on the grants and the savings of installing equipment in our public works. Also, council, on March 31st, if your schedule permits, it's the annual NOMA, Northwest Ohio Mayors and Managers Association's meeting, the dinner meeting, 5:30 at Pemberville. Let John Golkenauer know if you're interested in attending. The speaker is going to be actually one of our residents, Patrick McCauley from District 2 is going to give an update on ODOT here in our region. And then, Doug, I meant to ask this when you're up there. A couple months back, and I don't remember all the details, but you were talking about Pulse, and that went away. I see now where part of it came back to Toledo, but help us understand what it was before and what it is now.
So Pulse Point is a program that is intended for bystander CPR. The issue is it's costly, and it never actually worked as bystander CPR. It worked for the media to get the alert to their phone with the details before it went across our pagers so that they could be rushing to the scene at the same time we did. That's what it ended up being used for. It gave about a minute and a half head start. We didn't have the money. The county paid that bill. When the county disbanded, there isn't money to pay that. The price of that program also increased. Local 92, which is Toledo Fire's Professional Firefighters Union, has paid the bill for the city of Toledo out of their union funds to pay that. With that being said, I haven't had time to delve into it, nor do I totally know what they did, or their legal attorneys may probably have gotten involved. But being that there's only one PSAP, which is the ARCOG, and the population of the city of Toledo is over 250,000, the whole county, once the bill's paid, should have access to Pulse Point because they only charge by PSAP, and after 250,000, the price is set and there is no more price. It's part of the reason the Toledo fire chief did not want to pay the bill, because then if no one else pitches in, Toledo paid the bill for the whole city. Currently, the union paid that bill. However, somehow it is still locked out of the county except for Toledo. So I'm not sure how that worked. I mean, I met, as part of the Lucas County Fire Chiefs Association, I've met extensively with the owner of Pulse Point, who said if Toledo joins in, you all just could join in on the backside of that. So I don't know. I don't know how that worked. Local 92 took care of the bill for the city of Toledo. So if anyone else wants to get in, you have to pay per municipality. And at what point does Pulse Point start making a whole lot of money on this county? Because before we paid one bill for the whole county, and now we're all going to start paying a healthy chunk individually. So I'm not sure how that's all going to settle out yet.
So there's the payment side of it, but is there a value side? Is there a valuable?
There is not a value at the price they want to charge the municipalities. I mean, it basically tells people where the emergencies are. It draws crowds. It gets people headed there. If it actually worked for bystander CPR and we actually had data that saved people's lives, then I would 100% say let's do this. It has never done that, not once. So all it does is draw crowds, gets people headed to the scenes before we do, and gets a whole lot of people involved in an incident that probably didn't need to be involved.
Okay, thank you. All right, we will move on to our agenda. And the next is old business, and there is none. New business, Resolution 1025, a resolution authorizing the municipal administrator to enter into an agreement with Aerial Titans, Inc. Equipment Company for the purchase of an aerial boom lift for the Public Works Department. John, could you expand on that?
Thank you, Mayor. This resolution authorizes the purchase of a new 2024 aerial boom lift from Aerial Titans, Inc. Equipment Company of Cartersville, Georgia, at a cost of $57,150. So it's a tow-behind unit, and it replaces our 1987 bucket truck. To buy a new bucket truck is about $190,000, so this is quite a bit cheaper than that. And for the types of things that we need it for, it works pretty well. The appropriation, the purchase of the equipment was included in the 2025 appropriation ordinance. Included a picture of the unit and the cost of the unit, but the staff investigated different types of trailer pull behind booms, and they recommended this one, and the manufacturer's in Georgia, but they have a local dealer in Archbold, Ohio.
Okay, I need a motion to accept Resolution 1025.
So moved.
So moved. Anthony Bruno, need a second.
Second.
Second, John Rozick. Been moved and seconded for Resolution 1025. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it passes. Resolution 1125, a resolution authorizing the municipal administrator to enter into an agreement with Pyrotechnical for professional services for display of fireworks for the city of Waterville. John?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution that authorizes our expenditure for the fireworks display for 2025, scheduled for Friday, July 4th, 2025. The cost is $27,000. The rain date is Saturday, July 5th. The vendor, Pyrotechnico, they performed our display last year, got some, good recommendation that they are a good contractor, and recommend that we use them again. So always kind of hard to get the 4th of July locked down, but try to get it done early, and here we are. So $27,000 for Pyrotechnico, July 4th, 2025.
I would invite, unless there's more questions, I'd invite John Rozak to move that we accept resolution 1125. John?
Well, thank you, Mayor. And I can't tell you how good I feel about having July 4th on July 4th this year. That's terrific. And by the way, next year, July 4th is on a Saturday. And before I move for this, I'd like to suggest that if you can, we confirm Pyrotechnico for next year as soon as possible, because it is the 250th anniversary of our founding. And perhaps, and this will be part of the budget for 2025, but maybe 2026, I should say, I would, believe it or not, suggest that we spend just a little bit more next year. Yeah, I know.
Hold
In
on.
honor of the, we're not going to be here in 500 years, most of us, for that celebration, but I think we should recognize the birth of the country in some high-level fashion next year. So whatever this council decides in January for that budget, I would support.
Good. All right, so.
So I will move to it for this.
All right,
resolution.
need a second then?
Second.
Wayne Wagner, all right.
Everybody second.
Any more discussion? It's been moved and second of resolution 1125. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Just out of
Thank-
curiosity, John, what did we spend last year for that?
Well, we spent $25,800, so it's a little bit more.
Yeah, but that's not terrible for.
No.
It is
Getting-
Todd's birthday, so
getting it on
he
the
should
4th.
second the motion on July 4th. Just saying.
That's another,
Good memory, Mary.
that's another reason to spend more money on the fireworks.
That's
Yeah.
right.
100%.
Works for me.
All right, next is other information or unscheduled business. Go around the room. Alrighty, then I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Todd Borowski, need a second.
Second.
Second, Mary Duncan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Out.